The hard part is the action piece. Go to seminars, listen to podcasts, show up, practice the execution of that knowledge, right? Look in the mirror. If you're not where you want to be or you're not doing what you think you're capable of doing in this business, it's a matter of getting out there and doing the work. I think the big thing is agents want to avoid the work.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of More Than a Sale, where it's not just about the successes, it's about the failures, the heartbreaks, the setbacks to get to where you are today. And today I have one...
Tyler McLay. He is the founder of Rex Coaching, CEO of a top 1% real estate team, generate over $1 billion on sales in real estate sales by 28. Make a round of applause to...
Tyler, welcome to More Than a Sale.
Thanks for having me, Ron. It's an honor, man. I think passion is a big thing. I don't think you can lead and inspire on anything that you're not personally inspired about.
What are some of the principles that you've taken from karate that you've utilized in your own personal life?
Confidence and discipline, for sure. The confidence to lead a class of 60 students. A big part of leadership is confidence, and you can't be confident unless, again, you've done it. If I'm teaching a class of students, they want to learn from a black belt. They want to learn from someone that's done it. Hey, I've put my time in, I know what I'm doing. So I think that a good leader, if you're going to find someone that's going to lead you to where you want to go, they have to have done it first. I've done it, and I've shown that immense success is possible in this business, no matter what.
Listen, you and I had the pleasure of knowing one another, and through social media, and we even had the pleasure of having you at one of our events at the office of Unlocking Success, where you were.
Great time.
One thing I really like about your style is you're a powerful speaker, man.
Thank you.
And when you talk, you get right down to the details. Talk to me a little bit about, you've had the successful side of real estate, and then we transition into Rex Coaching. I mean, the real estate side is still going.
Yep.
What drove you to have Rex Coaching?
It was never really a preconceived notion. It was never anything I had in the plans. And, it's like anything in business and life, you got to be adaptable. I just saw the impact that we were having. And I think my passion for the industry is something that people admire. And thank you for noting that. But definitely it's the passion that comes out very naturally when I speak about the industry that I love and the industry that I grew up in. So for me, it was a natural progression to want to share. And I love to teach. I really love to teach. I taught martial arts for 13 years. I'm a third degree black belt. I taught in Shotokan karate.
Okay.
So I taught for 13 years, and just that impact of teaching and training kids and adults, there's nothing like it. It's rewarding. So I always thought I wanted to do something with teaching, but just the salaries weren't quite there. Part-time, I do teach college courses, the OREA real estate courses, and I have a previous history of teaching university courses as well.
Wow.
So I taught customer service classes, sales courses, things to that effect, all interrelated, all symbiotic. But basically, I saw the impact I was having on my team. And how, anytime I brought a new team member on, they would say to me, Ty, I've learned more in the last 2 days than I've learned in my previous 2 years in the business. And I thought, wow, because the initial reason why I wanted to start a team, again, that was natural too, a natural progression, right? Overflow of business, not because I wanted to take a back seat, but I acknowledged the fact I'd have to work more. But the coaching thing came as a result of wanting to impact the industry, same as the team thing. And I noticed the impact I was having on my agents. And I thought, how can I scale this quicker? How can I impact more people faster? And I mean, I don't know how you do what you do. You're doing a phenomenal job with the growth of your brokerage, and it's a testament to you as a leader, which leadership is a skill of its own, and you've mastered it, and you're doing a phenomenal job.
I don't think anyone really masters it. I think you just take it as you go along, and there are days when you're not so perfect. Well, it's all the pursuit of excellence. That's what I like to call it. Right. But you can never get there. It's a pursuit, but you never really achieve it there. What's a leader to you?
You're pursuing it well. You're pursuing it extremely well. On that same note, I think I could impact more agents at a greater scale by coaching versus trying to, add agents to the team in a slower process. I kind of compiled everything all into one. We can have that impact more significantly and more scalable.
What's a leadership position for you? What's a leader in your eyes?
I don't think there's one or two qualities that really identify a leader. I think passion is a big thing. I don't think you can lead and inspire on anything that you're not personally inspired about. So I think that you genuinely have to have the passion. And I'm a big fan of Ray Dalio, a hedge fund manager. Yeah. And there's a quote that he said that if you want to learn how to ski, you don't want to take instruction from a novice skier. I'm paraphrasing, but you want to take instruction from an expert skier. So I think that a good leader, if you're going to find someone that's going to lead you to where you want to go, they have to have done it first. They have to have paved the way, right? So, the argument lead from the front, lead from behind. I feel like I've paved the way and I've done it and I've shown that immense success is possible in this business. Just with a great work ethic and a commitment to knowledge and becoming more knowledgeable about your craft. So for me, it's about leading by example. I think anyone that's doing something that you admire, they don't have to necessarily have inherent leadership qualities, if that makes sense, right? And there's different types of leadership. I've got some leaders within my team, and there's one guy that leads strictly by example, and he is just dialed into what he does, and he's admirable, and you just want to watch him and study him and do what he does to be successful. That's a natural leader in his own right. We've also got a team member that leads with authority and throwing out affirmations and quotes and confidence and kind of getting the juices flowing, right? That's a different kind of leadership. One's not better than the other, it's just kind of who you align with. But I think the main thing is that there's got to be the passion and there's got to be the experience or the fact that they've done it first. You can't follow someone that hasn't done what you want to do, right? How does that make sense, right? Do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. You can't follow someone like that.
So what would you say is the leadership style that you embody for your team?
Definitely leading by example. First one in, last one out. I'm still doing it. I'm still working hard. I wouldn't tell them, my team or my coaching clients, I wouldn't tell them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And I'm not trying to get them to test strategies or pull from external sources, extrapolating from exactly what I've done and taking it to the next level. So for me, it's leading by example. I bust their chops about reading 3 articles every morning, no matter what. I read 5. Right? I read 5 to 7. So I'm doing what I suggest. I don't tell them what to do. I suggest. I make suggestions for them. And if they choose to follow, then there's no reason why they can't have the same level of success as myself. A good leader also has to find what people are good at. If you can extract what people are really, really good at and make it better, that's a great leader. Because with your brokerage, and I know with my team, everyone's got their own strengths and everyone's got their own weaknesses. So just like my leadership example a second ago, some of them love putting themselves out there on social media. It's really successful for them. If I had another personality type that wanted to replicate that same model, they wouldn't have the same success because that's just not them. So we find their strengths. Maybe it's more analytical. Maybe it's more door knocking. Maybe it's more face-to-face. Maybe it's a different lead gen strategy. Maybe it's hosting events. Maybe it's expert marketing. Whatever it is, we find what they're extremely good at and we just amplify and make it better and better, and we work on those skills. The ones that you're not so good at, hey, that's what a team's for. That's what a team's for. Don't waste time working on what you're already not good at. Take what you're decent at or good at and let's make it great. That's what I think a good leader should do.
And the rare ones are versatile, right? Like some of them just can play, you call it those all-rounders.
All-rounders, Plato, right? Be Plato.
Exactly.
And play the role. I make a lot of analogies with actors and actresses and things to that effect.
Yeah, same thing.
They play the role, man. They play the role. That's what we have to do.
As we dive deep into our conversation, because I want this conversation for our audience members and our listeners and our viewers to truly understand how you've built your business, the successful side of real estate sales and of course the coaching side, but they go hand to hand because they deal with a lot of challenges that we as agents face, and a lot of that is internal. And of course, then there's the external challenges. The external challenges, market indicators, economics.
The uncontrollables.
The uncontrollables, and then you have the controllables. So let's talk about the controllables for a second. What would you say, this business is easy and it's challenging at the same time, okay? And what would you say are the challenges that agents face in our real estate industry, or they like to think that they're facing? And it's always the same thing, no matter over and over again. I've been hearing it for the last 10 years. I heard it in the last 5 years.
Yep.
I even hear it now. It's always the same thing. But from your perspective of working with these agents and talking to them, what do you find? It's like, man, why is this so redundant all the time? Like, why am I...
Common issues, right? Common reasons for failure or lack of production.
What are those from what you see from your angle?
I think I'm going to reframe your question a little bit, where you said, it's easy. I think this business is very simple. I just don't think it's easy.
Okay.
And I think the simplification is we know what we have to do. We have a roadmap to success. You can look at people such as yourself, me. There's a handful of phenomenal agents that we admire. There's a mutual respect for the top agents that are doing it. But it's not easy because the agents actually have to go out and do it. Okay, so for me, the hard part is the action piece, the confidence and comfortability piece, which only comes from practice, learning the skills, having the knowledge, and then practicing the execution of those skills. So for me, I think you mentioned internal and external. A lot of agents look for external anything, right? What's going to do it for me? How can I buy leads? How can I change brokerages to do better? 99.9% of the time, in my experience, it has nothing to do with anything external. It's internal. So the internal piece is huge for me, and that's what we do a really good job at developing with my team and my coaching company, is we work on that internal, that tenacity, that acceptance of failure. Numbers game. The more you put in, the bigger your input, the bigger your output. The world as a whole, we look for that instant gratification. right? Everybody wants that instant gratification. I'll put it in perspective. A lot of agents like to post content for likes and follows and comments and conversation and whatever the case may be. I'm a real estate sales professional. When I post content, it's to educate and convert. Simple as that. I don't get paid for getting likes on my social content. I get paid when I buy or sell a property, represent a client buying or selling a property. If I can post content that directly correlates to a client converting, that's a successful post. For me, and I'm passionate about this stuff with the action-oriented approach, too many people spend too much time thinking about what they're gonna do instead of taking the action, right? Especially the newer agents, they want perfection. They want the margins on their mailouts to be perfect. They want the font to be perfect, a little bigger, a little smaller, a little bigger, somewhere in between, a little bigger. Can we change the color? That's too gray, that's too dark, that's too light. I don't like the pink, let's make it purple. And they spend 3 days doing that. Then the flyers sit on their desk for a week. And then by the time they finally get the gumption to go out and start talking to people, that information's out of date and they start again. So there's a cycle of inaction, okay? So for me, one of my favorite quotes is the purpose of knowledge is action, okay? The purpose of knowledge is action. So we can learn as much as we can and then go and take action with it. I can be a 10 out of 10 in terms of real estate knowledge, but if I don't share that knowledge and take action with that knowledge, I'm not gonna earn an income, I'm not gonna build a business, I'm not gonna have an output. Okay, so to get output, there's got to be input, and then there's also got to be action. So for me, it's a lack of action and a big lack of consistency and self-accountability, if I had to summarize it. Self-accountability, I think, is huge. Right? Look in the mirror. If you're not where you want to be or you're not doing what you think you're capable of doing in this business, look in the mirror. What can you change about your routine, your schedule, your habits, your action, your lead generation, your conversion? It's not the brokerage, it's not the brand, it's not your logo. I can guarantee it's not your freaking logo, man. It's not the color of your suit or what car you drive. It's the fact that you're not taking enough of the right action. And I've actually messaged something, posted something on my Instagram the other day to that effect. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's about taking action, right? It doesn't matter about any other external forces. It's a matter of getting out there and doing the work. I think the big thing is agents want to avoid the work.
What is the work? For an agent that's listening to this right now, what is the work that they need to be doing?
Study the heck out of the market. How is anyone going to take you seriously, and how can you ever operate with authority if you're not an expert in your craft? So spend time daily, working on yourself. Go to seminars, listen to podcasts, show up, go to open houses, pick agents' brains, read the articles, study the heck out of the market so that you're well prepared. Number 2, practice the execution of that knowledge, okay? And when I say the execution of that knowledge, how do you communicate? How do you communicate effectively? And how do you form your own opinions? Okay, I had a professor when I did my undergrad in finance. We had a great relationship. And he said, Ty, he goes, people never ask me how I interpret my stocks, what resources I use to, decide what to buy and sell, what news outlets I'm reading. He goes, people always only ever ask me, what should I buy? They just want the answers. That's what they want. And I think in this business, it's the same. We have to know all the back end, but we have to confidently be able to make educated predictions, right? The market's going up. Why? What factors are you pulling from? What articles did you read today that support that notion, that outlook, right? We want to create that crystal ball for our clients. So yeah, the 2 big things is 1, study, and 2, the execution of that study. I think as well, knowing how to execute, where to do it, how to do it, doing it the right way versus same thing in action, right? Those would be the 2 big things. Study, and then the execution of what you learned throughout that study.
What do you learn? What do you study? What do you look? What are your ways to stay ahead of the game, ahead of the curve? What indicators are you following? Who are you following? Who are you studying?
Great question. I mean, for me, it's basically taking a little bit of everything, right? I often explain it as a stew, and people make fun of me. They say, can't you pick a more fun food group? But no, I use stew. There's so many ingredients, right? You've got whatever you got. I'm not a chef by any means, but you've got chicken and broth and potatoes and peas and carrots and whatever. All those pieces make up the market and the market dynamics and the ability to predict where the market's going. So for me, it's a variety of sources. I like reading the pessimistic articles. I like reading the optimistic articles. And I often say, if you Google Toronto real estate market going up, you'll find 100 articles. Toronto real estate market going down, you'll find 100 articles. So it's about reading between the lines, forming your own opinions, building that web of knowledge. We don't want to paraphrase. We don't want to read Globe and Mail and then that's our only value for the month. We want to stay up to date. So for me, it's a lot of financial metrics. Okay, what impacts real estate values? Immigration, big one. Land scarcity, big one. Population growth as a result of immigration, big one. Rental demand, big one. Jobs, okay, the availability of jobs, employment, 2 big ones. So when we study these factors and we look at the core, the foundation of what makes up our market, that's where we can form educated opinions, right? There's a lot of fluff at the surface level, right? Mortgage is up for renewal. Who cares? Dig into the details. There's no reason why that information is relevant at all, okay? basically because the makeup of mortgages right now, the bulk of the ones that are coming up for renewal were registered pre-COVID. They're at a high 3 interest rate. Now they're going to be at a high 4, maybe 5 interest rate. It's ineffective. A lot of those mortgages have a ton of equity in their homes. But, the headlines say tons of mortgages coming up for renewal, and they paint that picture that, it's people going from a 1% to a 6.5% variable. It's not that drastic, right? Household savings are dwindling. Obviously, COVID, we had more savings than we've ever had as a nation in history. Why? There was nowhere to spend our money. So obviously now things have opened up, we're spending our money. So a lot of these things that we make a bigger deal of than we should are irrelevant as far as I'm concerned to making impactful decisions, right? Real estate's not buying a pair of jeans or a pack of bubble gum. It's real estate. Interpreting the data to me is huge. So I try to eliminate the surface level and dig deep, the fundamentals of what moves our market, what makes our market valuable, what motivates buyers, what motivates sellers, city growth dynamics, the way people move, for building enough supply to service the demand, right? Very, I'd say high level, right? Nothing too intricate, but it is at an intricate level of knowledge, if that makes sense.
When we see an upwards market for almost 2.5 years or 2 years, and we see things, skyrocket, and price of X is now more than it should be, right? Speculation. But at the end of the day, someone's determined that price. Someone was willing to pay that price.
Who decides what it should be, right?
Exactly.
You say more than it should be. Who decides what should, right?
Exactly. And the audience or the buyers, they decided what it should be based on. And of course, everyone can point a finger. I always love that big Spider-Man meme, people pointing fingers at one another. It's like,
whose fault is it?
Whose fault is it?
Pass the blame.
So when we see the market that we're in now, and while this podcast is being shot, today is May 1st of 2024, with our current market dynamics, interest rates being high, inventory being relatively a little bit low. And what does an agent do in a market like this? What would you guide the agent? What would you advise the agent? What do you recommend for them to do? Are the fundamentals still the same? Is there an alteration? Where's your take on this?
So number one, you've always got to ask the question, why, right? Why? As an agent, you have to be asking why. So why was the market so hot, appreciating 2.5 years? Why? Well, interest rates were so low. Money was basically free. So purchasing power went up, right? So it wasn't that property values skyrocketed. The cost to borrow declined to an insane rate as a result of a global pandemic, right? So it all makes sense when you break it down. So you've got to be asking the why. And why are we where we're at now? A bit of stagnation because interest rates have leveled and everyone's kind of figuring out what they want to do. I think that, there was pent-up demand to purchase. Now I think there's a pent-up desire to sell based on home sellers kind of waiting to get those numbers again. I think it'll be mid-2025 before we hit those peak numbers again based on my analysis. I could break it down, but I'll bore most of these people. But I think we're headed in the right direction. The big thing for me in terms of how agents can interpret this and leverage it is, I'll give you an example of what we did. So when prices come down, kind of like we are now, right? We see compressed asset values. What does that mean? It means the gap between asset classes shrinks, right? Agents complain, the market, hey, how's business? The market. It's not the market. There's still a lot of transactions happening, okay? It's a matter of you having a bigger piece of a smaller pie. So what we did is we targeted, and a lot of what we do is a targeted approach for a targeted buyer. A lot of agents like to put out mass emails and mass social media posts that are going to appeal to everyone. No, we pick and choose. We have a plan, a calendar, and we decide, okay, today's first-time home buyers, tomorrow's upsizers, downsizers, investors, whatever. And our message hits harder. The impact is more impactful when it's more specific and relevant to a specific audience. So that's exactly what we did and how we interpreted the market data. When the gap between these asset classes shrinks, opportunity cost to move up in asset class also increases, okay? Meaning that when the market comes down, on your $1.4 million detached home is now worth 1.2, you've lost, right? Unrealized loss of $200K. But if you're looking to move up to a detached from a townhome, you've decreased, say, $100,000, okay, for the sake of the argument. You've come down about $100K. So that gap now, that increase has shrunk. You gave up $100 to find a $200,000 discount. So for me, it's all about reframing. Okay, in an appreciating market, people are excited. They want to make moves and, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Okay, fine, that's life. People move for good reason. Okay, but in a downward market where there's less ability to make moves and less urgency from both the buying and selling side, we have to not artificially create, but we have to seek out the opportunity and then find consumer that's going to benefit most from said opportunity. And in a market like this, what we saw the last 12 months, we had the best year of our careers. I'd say nine out of my 15 team members. The rest of them did very well too, but 9 out of the 15 of us had the best years of our career in 2023, which was a slow market by definition. Reason being is we had a targeted approach. We saw that asset class decline, that gap shrink. And our approach was, hey, this is the best time probably in history to move up in asset class. There's a bigger discount on a bigger asset than what you're giving up. Yeah, you're giving up 100K to find 2. So it's the same example. Hey, Ron, if I gave you $5, would you give me 10 back? It's a pretty good deal for me, no? In what world would I not want that deal? So that was kind of the take we assumed in the COVID market.
I love that, and I think that's so interesting because it's never been framed that way before, and
that's what it is.
And moving ahead in our conversation, I want to ask you. There's so many things I want to discuss with you, and I know you're a wealth of knowledge. I've heard you speak before. We've all seen your social media. I don't think a lot of people, our audience members, really know what Tyler McLay is like. Behind the 3-piece suits and the double breast jackets and the ties that are there. Yeah. You're always dressed spiffy. You always have your hair done. I've never seen an off day of yours anywhere else. You have a certain way you lead your life, and that's what I like to call it. You lead your life a certain way. Tell me about the way you run your life, like you run your business.
Great question. Thank you for that question, because there's not a lot of opportunity to talk about us personally, right? We're always putting on the business face and playing that role. I think I am very natural as I can be in terms of personality on my social pages as well. So just when I'm talking about real estate, same as I talk about anything else, I do try to share all the value and all the knowledge. But I grew up in Woodbridge. I had a great childhood. My mother was in real estate. My grandparents, 3 out of the 4 of them were in real estate. So I kind of grew up around this industry, and I saw the requirement that it took to be on. I saw the requirement of basically the magnitude of what we do and the responsibility that we have, right? I'm not going to be in Tulum with my feet up drinking a beer saying, office for the day. Like, no, clients are relying on me for big deals. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I do. That's not my responsibility. If I have a responsibility to my client transacting a multi-million-dollar deal, you better believe I'm going to be in the office with all my resources at my disposal should I need to, do something about it. But anyway, more on me. Growing up around real estate, I saw the less glorious side of the business as well, right? So my mom, sometimes we'd have to be pulled out of karate school or pulled from soccer practice because she had a showing, right? It was always on, the late days, the late hours, the crazy schedule. So I knew what I was getting into when I got into it. And I think, having it have been a part of my life, I never thought I'd get into it full time, but I always knew I'd want to do something with it. I used to want to be a financial planner, like a investment banker, Wall Street guy. But it wasn't enough people for me. I like the people side of the interaction. But what else? I'm a sports guy. I love sports, big league fan, play a lot of hockey, play a lot of soccer.
I want to ask you.
I don't know. There's not much else about me other than real estate, Ron. I'm struggling.
You're a boring guy, Tyler.
You can't stump me on anything real estate, but this one, I don't know.
Let me ask you. How was your childhood? How were things? How was growing up in a family full of real estate? Break it down for me. Were things always so well? Were your parents just naturally successful, and you kind of had a great runway to start with? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely set the tone. Definitely showed me the requirement it took to be successful in this business. I had a great upbringing. My parents are together. I have an awesome sister. She works with us as well, so it's a lot of fun working with family. Great. As far as I know, I guess, again, we're all, products of our environment, nature versus nurture and all that stuff. But as far as I like to think, I had a very lovely childhood. I'm very fortunate to have had every opportunity to work on myself and educate myself and spend the time doing what I wanted to do. I was always entrepreneurial minded. My mom is a very successful salesperson and built a phenomenal network and business, but I think my goal was always to take it to the next level. I knew there was more potential and just sharing the knowledge and the scale of this business. My father was a lineman. He's been retired for a while and he's loving it. So not a huge entrepreneurial influence, I would say, other than my mother's work ethic for sure. My father too, phenomenal work ethic. But I think I'm very, very blessed, and I don't take that for granted, that I had a stable roof over my head, belly full, so I had the opportunity to seek out opportunity. Right, I would get involved with school. I built a lawn care business when I was in high school. I was always trying to do something. I taught karate when I was in high school and well beyond that.
Tell me what you've learned from karate. Seems to you, because you're a black belt in karate, and what are some of the principles that you've taken from karate that you've utilized in your own personal life?
Confidence and discipline, for sure. Confidence and discipline. The confidence to lead a class of 60 students. adults, kids, you name it, the confidence to have to stand there and lead, right? So that leadership ability, same thing. But I think a big part of leadership is confidence. And you can't be confident unless, again, you've done it, right? So obviously, if I'm teaching a class of students, they want to learn from a black belt. They want to learn from someone that's done it, that knows what they're talking about. And that belt is kind of a sign of, hey, I've put my time in, I know what I'm doing. We don't really have that in real estate, right? What do we have? Some crystal awards and plaques on the wall? Like it's everyone does though, right? There's participation awards too. So it's hard to have
Do awards mean something to you? Like when you get an award and you're...
Less so as we go on. You know, it used to. It used to, but I think my perception of success has shifted massively. And I actually just had an interview with a new agent that might be joining our team about something similar. And we were talking and he goes, you know, what motivated you when you started? And, you know, like anybody else, yeah, no, money, right? I want to make some money. It's a fun business and I want to have some fun. And every agent you talk to, well, the freedom and the money. Good luck. To get the freedom and the money, there's a lot that goes into that. So, you know, it used to be that. And you have people you look up to in the office and, oh, how did that guy hit that award threshold? And how did they get that? And I want to get that. And it seems so far away. But it's kind of like one of those things. Once you hit it, once you get, like, there's no awards I haven't earned. There's nothing above where I'm at. Same with you. It's not about that. But for me, it's not about that. It's about the impact that we have, right? The impact that we have. When I talk to my clients and, you know, they're having a baby in the house I sold them 4 years ago and they're, oh, Ty, we're so happy here. And little Johnny's playing in the backyard. We just built a play set. It's like, cool. I was a part of that. You know, you get so invested in these people's lives for such a short period and then you're out. It shifts. Anyway, long story short, it shifts.
I have a joke with some of the agents in the office, right?
Yeah.
It's like, Ron, you know, because when you get to the point and you're like, man, it's not just about the money. It's not just about the cars or the watches or anything like that. You know, you're explaining them that because the person that's usually talking about this has gotten there and it's like, it's not what it seems out. It's not what it's got out.
True.
I always joke and I always say, okay, cool. Let me get there first and we'll figure it out. You know, let me see how I feel when I get there.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Because there's an old saying. They say, first become rich, then become a philosopher.
I've heard that.
No philosopher ever got rich.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's along those lines.
You can reflect later, right? There's a lot to reflect on. And is it all it's made out to be? I mean, it's a lot of fun. Yes, it's fun. It's cool. But that's not the why. Your why shifts. I'm sure you could probably relate, right? Your why shifts. When I started, it's like, I just want to make six figures. Like if I made $100,000, I'd like, holy smokes, right? 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid making six figures. Like, whoa, this is insane. And then from there, it just happens very naturally when you are passionate and you really, I say with can I swear on here?
Of course.
Give a shit, right? Like you have to give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's the first rule. I've got rules in my office, all, how to conduct yourself. And number one is give a shit. Give a shit about what you do. Give a shit about your clients. Give a shit about their deals. Give a shit about timing. Like if every agent out there just gave 1% more of a shit, I guarantee they'll do 2-3 extra deals this year. You just have to care about what you do. And that giving a shit, it doesn't become about you after a certain time. And I wouldn't even say it's a success level. It's kind of like a time in the business, an experience level. Not even time, but transaction volume. The more you do, the less it becomes about me, and my deal and my commission. It's just about the client and the thrill of the deal and the excitement that comes with doing what you genuinely love to do. I often say, right, the person that falls in love with walking is going to walk a lot further than the person that falls in love with the destination. And when we can fall in love with the walk and fall in love with our day-to-day, the success is going to come naturally. And I know they're going to say like, oh, easy for you to say. It's not. Like, this is 11 years in the making. Like, how long have you been at this? 10, 11
similar,
years? Right?
Yeah, similar.
So, I mean, it's 11 years in the making of nonstop, hardcore sacrifice, not showing up to birthdays, not showing up to weddings, not showing up to anniversaries, in the office till 11 o'clock at night. So if you're willing to do that, then by all means, it's there for the taking, right?
Let's touch on that because you've raised an incredible point of sacrifices. And when we're talking about the road and the road to success and the pursuit of excellence, it comes with sacrifices. It comes with, moments of, despair. Mm-hmm. And it comes with a lot of judgment. It comes with a lot of self-doubt.
Sure.
There's a lot. It also has its negative connotations personally when you're on there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people can be overtly positive, even overtly positive people, sometimes you take with a grain of salt, like, okay, chill. It's nothing's.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that it seems like, the path that you're on, it's an upwards trajectory. God be willing, it goes further. What's a point during that road where the blocks were there? There were potholes, there were hurdles, there were snakes, there were, tell me about that part. I think that's what's really got you to where you are today, because I feel like you've utilized those lowest points or those lowest moments and turned them into fuel to even race ahead further. So tell me about that. What's a moment like that in your life?
I'm going to say very recently, my wife and I were blessed with a gorgeous, beautiful baby girl, Violet. So she's 4 months old as of yesterday. Less so, I'll talk to roadblocks and stuff, but I mean, it's just life happens, right? Life happens. I wouldn't be able to probably put in the time I put in the last 10 years if I was just starting now. So you have to pick and choose. You have to be more efficient. There's different ways to operate and run your business. Because I want to spend more time with my family and my wife and my daughter, and your goals and your plans, they shift and they adapt. And what makes you successful, it would be reading my daughter a bedtime story every night for the next 100 years of her life. All right? That's what success is now. Not about the fancy watch and the fancy car and selling a lot of real estate. So it shifts. Right? But I understand the impact that we have and the magnitude of what we do. Roadblocks and stuff, yes, but I just got to make that point too, that it's as life happens, as we adapt, as we mature, as we, hit success or hit those low points, our consciousness kind of shifts. What we value shifts. Right? So it comes hand in foot. But along the way, a lot of feeling guilty. There's a lot of that guilt from, friends and family side, because we're unlike everybody else. And if you take this business seriously, you have that entrepreneurial mindset versus an employee mindset. If you have an employee mindset, you can still be super successful in this business, right? You can hit your 6 figures. You can easily be doing 150 to 250 a year with that employee mindset, 9 to 5, nice work-life balance. But to get to that next threshold, there is that sacrifice that has to be made. A lot of our business happens evenings and weekends. Everybody else works 9 to 5. That means if everyone else is working 9 to 5, they can't be looking at real estate, having a meeting with you to list their home, game planning for their buy or sell. That happens evenings and weekends. So we need to be available when our clients are available. That's sales, right? That's sales. That's what we do, right? I can't expect them to accommodate my schedule. Take the day off for me because I only work from noon till 3 weekdays. Good luck, right? Good luck. Part of what we do, part of our world is adapting to our client schedules. So I think a lot of guilt for not showing up to, like I said, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings,
And have you been put on blast for
guys'
that?
nights out?
From the family or from the friends, or have you felt that certain relationships were lost, or that you could have been better?
I think I put more pressure on myself than the backlash is. So I think that's a lesson that could be probably shared. Is I think there's actually something called the spotlight theory, where we put all the pressure on ourselves and we think we're always kind of whatever we say is going to have a major impact. If I decline an invitation to a party, the party's still going to go on. But I'm thinking like, oh, they invited me, I should go. I'm going to feel so guilty if I don't go. And here I am working instead. I'm always working and I should be at the party. Guess what? If Ty doesn't show up, no harm done. But I think in my mind, I always used to put a lot of pressure on myself to do everything. Right? So people used to joke with me and say like, let me manage your phone. Like I'll say no for you because I never said no. And I would do 3 parties in one night because I wanted to show face, right? I'd play hockey and then go to a dinner party and then go to a wedding. Like I wouldn't want to say no. I wouldn't want to let people down. And I think, there's a big part of that I think lends itself to my success in the industry, or, we're still getting there. We're still working on it. Definitely humility is a big part of this. Huge. I think that there's got to be a balance and the ability to, and same goes for work too, right? If there's something important to you, if it's your daughter's birthday, your nephew's bar mitzvah, whatever you got going on, it's okay to also decline clients. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about now building such a super awesome team is we've kind of built that for myself and for each other. Yeah. If someone's really got something important, hey, we know we've got a rock star team that can fill in. And the way that we operate is very mechanical, systemized. I know that they're all top in their craft. So it doesn't matter if you send me, Daniel, Anthony, Dolores, Alex, Paul, Sue, whoever you send, they're going to execute the same way I would execute. And they're going to execute the same way each other would execute because we've got that system.
Knowing what you know now, if you were to tell the younger Tyler and give him some advice, what advice would you give him?
Don't be so hard on yourself, man. I tell myself, just don't be so hard on yourself. I think in high school, I was voted most likely to be a millionaire, right? So I think people saw my entrepreneurial spirit, cutting grass, doing stuff like that. And I was always motivated to make a change and inspire change and do something bigger than myself. I wanted to leave something behind and have an impact in whatever I chose to do. So I think that there was a lot of pressure to want to live up to expectations in a sense. And that motivated me huge. But I think I'd tell myself like, hey, it's okay to take a day off once in a while, right? It's okay to go home at 6:30 p.m. or earlier, or even a little later, right? It's okay. So I think, yeah, to make it simple, just don't be so hard on yourself, man. That's what I would have told myself, because I always had high expectations for myself, and my biggest fear always, and still is, but it is dwindling, is not reaching my full potential. So I'm always trying to do something daily to reach my full potential, right? And then I think when you're wired a certain way, you're never going to reach your full potential. Right? I think a lot of times I'll turn around, I'll look behind me, and I'll say, wow, look what I did in the last year. Right? If I said I was going to be here a year from now, I'd say, oh, you're crazy, Ty. There's no way you can do it that way. I think that a little bit of appreciation, a little bit of, hey, look, you're doing it, is okay, and you don't have to be so hard on yourself. So I'm currently trying to make a conscious effort to be more present, to be more easy on myself, and same thing. I mean, same thing with the team, right? So starting a team, I knew was going to be more work than less work. And I talked to a good friend of mine, Frank Leo. I used to teach his kids martial arts, actually. They're friends of mine, his kids. And I called Frank when I decided I was going to start a team. And I said, hey, is there any advice you can share with me? And he said, he gave me some good advice, but ultimately he said, we're at different scales, Ty. So for me, they don't expect me. But when you start off a team, they're going to always expect you. Right? They don't want Anthony or Daniel. You're starting off a team, Tyler McLay Realty Group, they're going to want Tyler. And that was one of my concerns. So I want to make sure I train them well, and I want to make sure I'm always there and I'm always available to them. But, I think that something we have to accept with scale is not a loss of quality. Definitely, I talk with my hands, man. I'm not Italian, but I'm from Woodbridge, so I talk with my hands. Sorry for the mic. Point is, I didn't want to lose that quality. So I knew I wanted to put the work in, and it was going to be more work. And as we've scaled, as we've grown now, we're, I think, 17 agents now, and potentially growing. I just wanted to make sure that I had the same impact with all of them, and that I'm available for all of them. And if they have a question, I'll answer the phone. But same with business and life. I realized, you know what? It's okay if I don't answer the phone. Or in some cases, hey, is it okay if we talk about this tomorrow? Is this time sensitive? If it is, I'll answer the phone. But can this wait till tomorrow? Yes, it can. Okay, let's put it off till tomorrow. So just trying to be more present, live a bit of a life, like do the things I enjoy with my wife, my daughter, my family, my parents, my in-laws, my friends, stuff like this. This is awesome. So, just enjoying the ride. And recently I made that conscious effort to be more aware of the ride. If that makes sense.
Who's been a great influence in your life? Who are some of your mentors? Who are some of the things that people that you've learned from? I mean, you shared a great example from Frank Leo, and there are things that you learned from him. And what are some other things that you've learned from other profound individuals that had a significant impact in your life or for your business?
Yeah.
And they come differently at different times, right?
That's the thing. Different little, there's something I always say, like everyone knows something you don't.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to learn something new from everyone I meet, right? You can learn something from the janitor, you can learn something from the CEO.
Yeah.
Treat everyone with respect, and they've all got experiences that you can never have, right?
Yeah.
But no, my mother for sure is the easy one, guaranteed. My mother, growing up in the business and things to that effect.
Yeah.
So for sure, my mother, huge influence. Just the integrity in this business, the honesty, the trust that she's built by just doing a heck of a good job, and again, giving a shit, for lack of a better term. That kind of sums it up. So my mom's been huge in my development, my growth, and on that note, my father as well, just instilling the right values, right? If you're going to do something, do it right, and treat people with respect, and you do good for people and good will come. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be, that meeting in the elevator with the CEO, that random moment where I was re-inspired, it's more just kind of the compounding of the way I was raised. And my sister too, I'd say my parents, my sister, and my wife, for sure. My parents, for those reasons I said. My sister, just pushing me. She's awesome. She's always challenging me and pushing me and, nipping at my heels here. She's having a phenomenal career in real estate. She's unreal, and I'm very proud of her. And then my wife, just knowing the importance and what, my commitment to this business and my clients, so being understanding of that, but also making me aware of what else is important, right? Giving me that extra reason to not spend so much time in the office. Realize that that's not everything and anything you have to do. So I think without getting too crazy with, your Elon Musks and your Richard Bransons and your I've read a lot of books, I've met a lot of cool people, and I've learned a lot of cool things, but the biggest impact and the people I care about their opinion are really only those 4 people. So that
I like that. I like that. I like that perspective.
That's it,
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, Tyler?
You know what? I've always had plans, and I've always known where I was going to go or had a direction, and I've always got there. Like I found some notes we have a playroom in my parents' basement. It was our playroom, and I was always big on notes, and I wrote things down, right? Do your master's at Schulich, buy a Porsche, and invest in multiplexes, and buy this and do that. I find these lists that I wrote when I was like 14, 15, and I'm like, oh, done that. So like just naturally, it's not like I manifested it or any of that nonsense. Like it's just, I've just done it, because I knew I wanted to do it. So to honestly answer your question, I think I'm more confused now than I've ever been, because I don't know. All I know is I'm doing a heck of a good job influencing my team, making sure that they are transforming the industry and bringing that credibility and inspiring that positive influence, passion to the industry. So we've got a wicked group, a wicked tight-knit group, and I'm so proud of them and them latching on to what resonates with them from my, trying to do the best I can to inspire them and coach them the best I can. I hope I'm doing a good job, but from their results, I think I am, and their excitement of the industry, So as long as I can keep doing that, keep inspiring agents to be confident and take the steps necessary to build a successful business, then that's successful to me. So I think this is the first time in my life where I haven't had a concrete, in 5 years, this is what I want. And, different things change. We're adaptable. But I think just the growth of Rex and transforming the industry, Rex coaching, the growth of my team and inspiring more agents, and just helping more clients buy and sell real estate, showing them, the difference between agents such as yourself and the agents that you coach and inspire, my agents, the difference between us and, the part-time, the less motivated, the less passionate, the less care, the more selfish agents, right? The ones with this, again, talking about awards, there's this false confidence, I think, that comes with awards. I think it's great, gives you something to talk about. But I think on the other hand, is some of these awards for some agents out there, it gives them the sense of false confidence where, I've peaked, I'm good, I'm done, I'm okay, right? Top 40% in your office of 30 people, like that's not where you want to be. But you give them this piece of paper, this award, and they feel all warm and fuzzy. And the issue is not that they're not making more money, but they're not trying to learn more. And they're not staying up to date with market trends. They're not staying up to date with new rules. They're not the best person to represent a buy or sell. So I'm very passionate about the quality of agents in our industry, which I know you are too. That's why you have such a commitment to coaching and training your agents. Same with me. So that's a big thing for me, is just agents being passionate and understanding the magnitude, right? You've got Selling Sunset and all these fluffy shows, and all we do all day is wear high heels and go for lunch, right? That's what we do all day, right, Ron? You had nice heels on earlier. It changed just for the podcast. But people I think perceive us a certain way because of that 80-90% of the industry that doesn't take it as seriously as they should, and some of this pop culture and media and the articles out there, and same thing, right? You've got that one kid in 8th grade that ruined the trip to Niagara for the whole class because he was chewing gum. And it's the same thing. You've got the one agent that takes advantage of an elderly couple and charges them too much commission, gets sent to jail, and it makes the news, and agents are bad, right? That generalization. So, you know what, to your point about 5 years, my goal, 5-year plan would be to make some real change in the industry, maybe with OREA, maybe with RICO, maybe with the Humber training, maybe with the fees, right? I've said we should make the fees like 20, 25 grand a year. That'll get rid of the fluff real quick, right? Like I think there's things we can put in place to bring that authority back to the industry. So, maybe that's not the best outcome. People aren't going to like me when I say that one, but I think there's things that can be done. So my goal is to change the industry, bring the authority.
When you come from a place of passion and come from a place of performance, and you are trying to make an impact not only for your business, and there's indicators. It's like how we would change taxation laws. We would change the way construction is done. We would change the way, we all have ideas, and we all have vision, and there's some of us that know where we can make an impact, and those that feel they can make an impact, they'll go work for the government, and they try their best, and somewhere along the lines either they follow through with it or they fall into the jurisdiction of how life itself. So that's a whole nother.
Then there's the negative impact. Then there's the negative impact because we have this potential and this audience with social media. Everybody has the potential to make an impact. And I think that some agents and people in general, they just want to make an impact of some kind. Not necessarily a good one or a bad one, but they're just trying to make an impact. And in trying to do that with an audience that they have or do not have, they try to just do something. And that's not always a positive impact or productive impact. We're trying to make impact that has concrete outcomes for everybody else versus just an impact for me, because look at me, let me create some problems, create some issues, let me cause a stir, let me do this, let me do that, just so more people will look at me. I'm not trying to make an impact for me. I'm trying to make an impact for the industry that I love, that I'm passionate about, that I grew up with. So impact is important, but the right impact.
I agree with you on that. And there's a quote I believe and I follow, and I was reading it the other day as well. Get the results, and the brand will build itself.
True.
And now these days it's too much of the fake it till you make it. And
forcing that, right? Forcing
it. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, make content, make this, make that. But somewhere along the lines, you get lost in the sauce of...
You need your purpose, your vision.
You need your vision, you need your purpose. Who's your audience? Who's buying from you? Who's selling from you? Who are you servicing? Okay, great. You got your views, you got your likes, and it's a false presumption and fabrication of being liked or wanted or feeling that you're making some sort of impact, whatever that may be.
False confidence, huge.
False confidence.
Just like karate, right? When I taught karate, if I remember an instance with a kid when I was teaching back in high school, and he got beat up at school. He was a student for like 4 days, and we talked to his mom and stuff, and the mom said, yeah, he walked into the playground and said, I do karate now, and he was like trying to be a tough guy, and he got beat up. I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And I always think of that story when I think of false confidence, right? Just because you took a karate class once doesn't give you the authority to speak at a high level, or mean that you're just because you have a real estate license doesn't mean you're at the same level as someone that's been doing it for, my mother's been in the business for 45 years. Like, her wealth of knowledge is far superior to most. And you can't force it.
I call it keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, cool, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's a false sense of being busy.
Sure.
But being busy of what?
Right.
Be
productive, not busy, right? Be productive, not busy.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's what you take in your pocket, what you take home with you, what you feed your kids with, what you run your household with, what you pay for your car. That's what matters.
It's a job.
It's a job. Exactly. And other prospects.
It's not just something to do.
I feel like you and I can have a whole nother podcast episode about this. I want to finish this off. This has been a very powerful and profound episode that you and I shared. A lot of great ideas to be discussed. And I want to finish this podcast off with, who is Tyler McLay?
Ooh, nice. I think most people would say a real estate guy, just the real estate guy, but I don't want to be just identified as the real estate guy. Passionate about everything that I do. Right? When I'm a husband, I'm the best husband. When I'm a father, I want to be the best father. When I'm a son, I want to be the best son, right? Playing those roles the best way that I can and be as present as possible. So who is Tyler McLay? From my perspective, I'm going to say who I aspire to be, because to your point earlier, it's, we're always in the pursuit. So I aspire to be the best leader I can possibly be for my family and for my team. I aspire to be an influence in the industry, to inspire that change that's going to benefit public, the consumer, and the agents as a whole. I think that's it. I think that encapsulates who Tyler McLay is or wants to be, and we're working on it daily. That's all we can do, man.
I love that, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. More Than Sale, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler McLay himself. What a great episode. Excited for this one. Stay tuned for the next episode on More Than a Sale.